Hi there, and welcome back to Inheritance Disputes and Estate Litigation, Washington TEDRA Attorney. My name is Austin Nowakowski of Nowakowski Legal, PLLC. It's a Seattle, Washington-based law firm that focuses on estate planning, probate, and estate litigation. If you've seen my previous videos, then you know that one of the primary focuses of this series is what's called in Washington TEDRA disputes, or TEDRA litigations. Essentially, TEDRA stands for Trust and Dispute I'm sorry, Trust and Estate Dispute Resolution Act. My previous video had discussed what all that entails, and to give you a brief synopsis, what it means is that when you have a dispute in Washington as to your inheritance or some kind of testamentary document such as a will or a trust, or even if we're talking about potential fiduciary responsibilities that are passed on through a power of attorney, you would handle them through a TEDRA petition. It's the specific subset of law that's set aside by Washington statute, RCW 1196A, for purposes of handling these inheritance disputes. So with that, I kind of figured that this video, I think this is actually the second in the series, I want to focus on what exactly happens when you believe you have an inheritance issue and you need to go to an attorney to kind of figure out whether or not it's actually going to be something that you can pursue, or if it's something that might not, lead to anything. So, what is the first thing that you do when you think that you might have an estate issue? Well, this probably sounds a little bit easy and that I really shouldn't have to mention it, but the first thing that you really should do is you should find an attorney that focuses his practice, or at least a portion of his practice, on TEDRA matters. TEDRA is a very specific subset of Washington law, and it has certain complications that many attorneys that have been even practicing for years will not necessarily recognize or know about unless they have previously handled TEDRA disputes. As such, that would be the first thing that I would suggest. You need to find an attorney that is able to assist with TEDRA matters. I cannot stress enough that you really don't want to try and handle this on your own. Please do not try and act in a pro se capacity and file a TEDRA petition and just try and go from there. Chances are there's just a bevy of procedural mishaps that you can fall into, and you just don't want to have that happen. You will want to speak with an attorney that knows how TEDRA works. So the next thing, after you've found an attorney that you like and that you know actually focuses his practice on TEDRA matters, you're going to want to meet with that attorney. And that will be easy because the attorney is going to want to meet with you as well, because he's going to have several questions that he's going to want to go over. Primarily, the first thing that you're going to sit down and meet and talk about are going to be, what do you believe your grievance to be, or what do you believe the disruptance to your inheritance currently is. So that way the attorney can hopefully figure out what potential causes of action you might have to bring against whomever is causing this injury to you. So basically, you're going to want to sit down with your attorney and you're going to tell him your story. Sometimes this might result in you finding out that you don't really have a grievance, or you don't really have a cause of action to bring against anybody. This happens a lot when potential clients believe that they have a grievance against a trustee for a trust. They believe that they're mishandling the trust and they're not providing them with the assets that they're supposed to be being provided. But when you sit down with the attorney, he speaks with you and he reviews the trust with you. And it turns out that it's not necessarily the trustee's fault sometimes. Sometimes the trust is specifically worded to only allow him to give you certain assets at certain intervals. And unfortunately, the trustee is just doing what he's supposed to do. Other times, though, you will find out, yes, that trustee is mishandling the trust. He's doing a bevy of things wrong. He has not given you notice. He is just absconding with funds. He's trying to alter the trust without the permission or notice to anybody else. So you could find out a multitude of things by going over it with the attorney. So that's the first thing that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to basically tell the attorney your story. You're going to want to have him be able to learn what all the potential causes of action are. And don't worry too much about this. The attorney's got experience with this. He'll sit down, he'll ask you all the right questions. He'll find out what he needs to know, and that's pretty much how it'll go. The one thing that I would say about that too is, remember, when you are speaking with an attorney, you want to tell him everything that he needs to know about this case. That means even the things that you might not think are very good in your favor or might not actually put you in a good light, you're going to want to let your attorney know, because the last thing you want to have happen is you don't want this TEDRA monster to start up, and then all of a sudden 3 weeks later your attorney finds out that, oh, by the way, turns out that I actually hand wrote this will that I told you is supposed to be the real will, and it's not the real will. Well, that would be catastrophic to everything. And not only that, you would likely have a counter petition filed against you that will just not go well. So you're going to want to make sure that you tell your attorney everything that he is going to need to know. Even if you don't think he needs to know it, you should probably still tell your attorney. The other thing that you're going to want to speak with the attorney about while you're there with him during your initial meeting, your initial consultation or whatever, is you're going to want to start going over who all the interested parties to this matter might be. I don't mean just the person that is injuring you. I mean who all is going to be affected by changing around this estate or changing around these testamentary documents. So, for example, if it's a will, every single beneficiary is an interested party. The person that is the personal representative of the probate is an interested party. Depending on certain distributions in the will, so the one that comes to mind is if there is a charitable trust to be distributed or altered in some way, shape, or form, you have to notify the Attorney General of the action or the petition that you're filing. So there are a lot of interested parties that have to be determined and included in this matter to make sure that your attorney provides everybody that needs to have notice under the law with said notice. So just so you know, the things that you're going to want to basically go over with your attorney when you sit down and meet with him are the potential causes of action and the potential interested parties that are going to have to be named in the petition. The other third item that you're going to probably go over with the attorney, which is it's kind of just ingrained with what we have been talking about here, you're going to want to bring any and all documents that might be relevant to the situation. So if you're having a problem with a trust, you're going to want to bring in all the trust documents. If you're having a problem with a will, you're going to want to bring in all the will documents. If you believe there's a faulty power of attorney, you're going to want to bring that in. It can even go so far as to you've been having these off-color conversations with the personal representative where they've just been sending you emails saying that they're not going to give you any of your inheritance and XYZ, and it's because I just don't like you or whatever. You're going to want to bring in everything that you believe is relevant to this matter. Don't worry if you think you're bringing too much. The attorney will basically cut through it and find out what he needs and what he doesn't. But it's better to have it all there so that he's able to make the determination and make the basically make sure that we have everything that needs to be there for purposes of proceeding forward. So after that meeting, after you've sat down with the attorney and we've figured out what the causes of action are and we've figured out who all the relevant parties are and we have copies of all the documents that we think that we're going to need to move forward, the attorney's going to shake your hand, you're going to leave the office for a little bit, and he's going to go upstairs and think. And basically he's going to probably do a little bit of research, make sure that the causes of action are specific to your situation and that they're actually going to line up. He's going to want to see if there's any other potential causes of action that maybe you just didn't come up during the conversation, or maybe he just didn't think about at that time. And then he's going to want to review everything and make sure that he has his mind completely wrapped around it. Once he does, then it's going to be decided whether or not he's going to file a demand letter or if he's just going to go straight to filing a petition with the court. And that is kind of the 1,000-yard overview of how this whole thing works. I know that it's a lot, and I know that I kind of talked on everything in very broad terms, but my intent with these videos is to, over time, focus on certain subsections of TEDRA and really kind of dig into them. So this is kind of the broad overview one where I just give you the XYZ as to how TEDRA occurs, and then moving forward I'll have more specific videos talking on certain areas of TEDRA. As always, the practice of law is called the practice of law for a reason. We're constantly practicing it. We're constantly trying to learn how to better perform it and how to better serve our clients. So if you have any specific questions on estate litigation or potential TEDRA items that I could touch on in one of my videos, I would love to hear it from you. Please feel free to reach out to me at my contact information, all of which should be below in the information section. And that will be about it. Um, Again, my name's Austin Nowakowski of Nowakowski Legal PLLC. You can reach me at 425-243-9595, or you can send me an email at Austin, AUSTIN, at Nowakowski, NOWAKOWSKI, legal, legal.com. Thank you again for taking the time to watch my video, and I look forward to speaking with you more in the future. Have a great day.